I Yes, I can hear you. You can see Tracy in the back of the hall. So we'll probably have to play it twice before we take that. But we'll just do our usual go back to the beginning. But I'll kind of like do that. Give the Jesus some travel. Okay, it's number one, is it? Yep, go ahead. an announcement first, yeah.
Yes, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession and the chancellor.
I declare that the 525th Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. I am David Wilkinson, Provost and Vice President Academic at the University. This afternoon I have the great pleasure of acting as your Master of Ceremonies and of welcoming you all to our Convocation ceremony. Before we start our formal program, may I first ask everyone in the hall to switch off any electronic device that may ring or beep during the ceremony. I would now like to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Suzanne Labarge, to make her own welcoming remarks.
Welcome, honored guests, staff, faculty, families, friends, and most importantly, graduands. This is an exciting day for all of you who are graduating today, as well as for all those people who have supported you and stood behind you, and in many cases have had a key role in your being here today. You have achieved a great deal to get here, and you should all be very proud of your success and looking forward to what the future might bring. Congratulations, and enjoy the ceremony.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, who will be presenting the honorary degree recipient.
Ms. Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present James Hogg. Dr. James Hogg, who is currently Professor Emeritus of Pathology at the University of British Columbia, and a faculty member at St. Paul's Hospital in Vancouver, is a world-renowned biomedical scientist and one of the best-known clinician scientists in Canada. Dr. Hogg earned his medical degree at the University of Manitoba in 1962 and served as a medical officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force for 3 years after graduation. Following his discharge from military service, he joined the Faculty of Experimental Medicine at McGill University, where he obtained an MSc in 1967 and a PhD in 1969. He subsequently trained in anatomical pathology at Massachusetts General Hospital and at the Royal Victoria Hospital in Montreal. He received his first continuing academic appointment in 1971 when he became a member of the faculty at McGill. And just 4 years later, he was appointed the Miranda Fraser Professor of Pathology. In 1977, Dr. Hogg relocated to Canada's West Coast, taking a position at the University of British Columbia and establishing, in collaboration with Peter Parry, the UBC Pulmonary Research Laboratory at St. Paul's Hospital. This laboratory, now known as the James Hogg Eye Capture Center for Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Research, has become world-renowned for its work on the structure and functional relationships of asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, two diseases that together have been diagnosed in more than 3.7 million Canadians. The Eye Capture Center is now the largest pulmonary institute in Canada, with almost 250 personnel, including 26 principal investigators. Dr. Hogg's personal leadership and research output have helped establish both the center's and Canada's global reputation for excellence in this field. He and his colleagues have demonstrated how structural abnormalities in airways and lung parenchyma result in physiological abnormalities that lead to symptoms in patients with asthma and COPD. They have also examined the genetic basis for these inflammatory and structural changes and identified molecular markers to evaluate patients at risk of developing these same conditions. Dr. Hogg's research productivity has been truly exceptional, having published more than 370 peer-reviewed papers, many of which are in the highest impact peer-reviewed journals. His list of awards received reflects his standing in the academic, clinical, and scientific communities. He has received the Father Sean O'Sullivan Research Award from St. Joseph's Healthcare here in Hamilton, the Henry Friesen Award from the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada, the Trugali Award for Excellence in Mentoring and Scholarship from the American Society of Investigative Pathology, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Pulmonary Pathology Society. He is also a Fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, a member of the Canadian Medical Hall of Fame, and an officer of the Order of Canada. In 2013, Dr. Hogg was honored with a Gairdner Award, the most prestigious biomedical prize in Canada, for his ongoing work on the causes and treatment of lung disease. Dr. Hogg is a Canadian biomedical pioneer whose work has not only established his place as one of the most internationally influential researchers in his field, but has offered breakthroughs connected to some of the world's most widespread and serious pulmonary conditions. As Chancellor, I present James Hogg to you so that you may, in recognition of his contributions to science, medicine, and patients worldwide, confer upon him the degree Doctor of Science honoris causa.
James Hogg, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Science honoris causa in McMaster University with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations. We're delighted. And I think you have to sign. I would now like to invite Dr. Hogg to deliver the convocation address. Thank you.
Chancellor Labarge, Vice Chancellor and President Dean, faculty members, honored guests, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2014. I'd also like to add my welcome to their families and the many significant others who've helped them get where they are today. And for myself, like you, I received this honorary degree with humility and gratitude, and greatly relish the opportunity to address the graduating class of this great university. Graduation from a university is a memorable occasion, and I hope today's celebration will live on in your memories forever. The value of education, almost in any form, is that it sharpens our intellectual gifts and helps us deal with the many challenges that life presents. To appreciate that imagination is an important feature of creativity, and to realize that informed opinions are based on all of the available evidence. And most importantly, I think that you have to have patience in order to apply these skills that you've learned to the problems that you'll have to solve. Truth reveals itself slowly and often in staggering steps. For example, when William Harvey first discovered the circulation of the blood in 1628, he couldn't explain why the entire output of the heart circulated through the lungs. It took another century and a half before Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen, and 15 more years before Lavoisier demonstrate that the consumption of oxygen and the production of carbon dioxide were the key features of cellular respiration. Approximately 50 years after that, Claude Bernard, one of the original physician scientists, working with an extremely talented chemist by the name of Gay-Lussac, discovered that the hemoglobin, neatly packaged in our red cells, picked up and bound oxygen in large quantities as the blood passed through the lungs, and that the heart was responsible for delivering this all-important oxygen to the body tissues, and most importantly, showed that as the hemoglobin released the oxygen, it developed an affinity to bind the carbon dioxide and remove that so it could be exhaled into the surrounding atmosphere. Collectively, it took something like 200 years to fully understand William Harvey's seminal observations and accumulate the knowledge that we expect that all of our graduates today from any medical school will have at their fingertips. Now let's fast forward from that to about June of 2000, when the sequencing of the human genome was announced. As expected, the interest in this achievement was and has remained intense, with opinions that vary from those who hail it as a significant new achievement, of which I am clearly one, and those who greeted it with healthy skepticism, and others that dismissed it with scorn. May I respectively suggest that the true value of the rapidly increasing knowledge about the human genome, or almost anything else for that matter, accumulates gradually by a process that balances the passion of those who are trying to develop this new technology and their imagination with the healthy skepticism that allows that to grow in a useful way. And that it takes patience for these things to develop. You will, who see patients, I'm sure will have the experience in your lifetime of people who bring in the sequence of their entire genome for you and ask you to help interpret it for them. that's impossible at the present stage. And it's healthy for you to remember that you don't have to know all that stuff all at once, and that what really applies to human disease will become apparent and has become apparent as we move along. And it'll occur rather slowly, and the patient as well as the people giving the information have to understand that. The truth, as I've said, comes slowly. Imagination and passion that drive creativity need to be balanced by skepticism and restraint, and by a very large dose of patience. And in closing, I'd just like to ask you all to enjoy this important landmark in your lives and wish you good luck in achieving the solutions to all the challenges that life brings to you in the years ahead. Thank you for your attention.
I'd like to thank you for your wise words. We're delighted and honored to have you as part of our community.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Patrick Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Madam Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees upon them, and I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable. May I also request that you confer the appropriate degrees in absentia upon all these candidates who have successfully completed the required course of study, but who are not present.
Graduands, by my authority and that of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit to those before me today and those in absentia to their individual degrees in McMaster University, with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations to all of you.
Please be seated. Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I may welcome you to the McMaster community of scholars.
I declare that the 525th Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session. Ladies and gentlemen, so that each graduate's name may be heard, it would be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduands, you would hold your collective applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Philosophy: Kaylin Andrew Moat, Stephanie Rose Montesanti, Jessica Catherine Shearer, Anna Carolina Alba, Teresa Ann Bennett, Emma Claire Goodall, Courtney Claire Kennedy, Heather Pauline McDonald, Christine Lindsay Kerr, Karen Elizabeth Trychevsky, Andy Kin On Wong, Emma L. Baum, Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Philosophy: Derek Koo Chen Chu, Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science: Matthew Cherwinski, Simon York Ming Huang, Kekaloma Edna Akimbobola, Natalia Gavrilenko, Adriana Maria Jimenez Vargas, Muhammad Arfan Khan, Tatiana Nechiporenko, Zoe Shamandi, Wal Ahmed Mohammed Zodi, Diana Vania. Stephen Choi. Amir Suhail. Celeste Alicia Francis Collins. Wagadi Ali Shake. Yen Ting Shen. Victoria Yum. Tanya Catherine Coburn. Jacqueline Jose Mines. Sheetal Shaw. Leslie Marion Stevenson. Sherry Lynn Stevenson.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Medicine. Ryan Francis Alders. Amina Abdallah. Tamara Anna Abraham. Melody Adler. Hisham Al-Shikarchi. Parnian Arjmand. Kyle Adam Arsenault. Jatan Badiwala. Karan Bami. Darius Began. Kunal Banot. Jessica Kaur Buller. Andre Blanchard. Catherine Ann Bodkin. Shannon Claire Bucking. Adrian Boudrum. Madeline Claire Burdick. Robin Lindsay Carnell. Matthew Caruana. Margaret Ellen Casey. Alexa Patricia Cataray. Jessica Hoi-Ling Chung. Matthew Chong. Rennie Chu. Sarah Rachel Citron. Evan Taylor Cole. Mary Ellen Conway. Miguel Alejandro Cortel. Tyler Michael Cupo. Alana Sarah Hart Cartwright. Allison Dawn Culp. Lauren Elizabeth Daly. Emily Page Devitt. Joy Ding. Samuel Mark Derenfeld. Jennifer Elizabeth Doswell. Carolyn Ruth Dewick. Ryan Tiernan Charcu Erdley. Fadi Ibrahim. Fadi Elias. Esther Ernst. George Farju. Cara Marie Fauser. Samantha Feldman. Alicia Rebecca Fernandez. Allison Rachel Flanagan. Mallory Elizabeth Fox. Liam Philip Arthur Frape. Ryan P. Fredericks. Vincent Paul Frucci. Mandark Gandhi. Jillian Mildred Gibson. Kathleen Gibson. Aaron Gerard. Anirudh Goyal. Stephen Lewis Goldie. Premanand Gopi. Karen Julie Green. Allison Gregory. Kathleen Hames. Alexandra Catherine Hatchell. Kimberly Lourdes Colleen Hayslip. Nicole Leanne Hill. Chen Chen Ho. Kevin Su. Anne Hu. John Einett. Greg Ikonikoff. Dustin Ari Jacobson. Caitlin Ann Jago. Aiden Jeffrey. Carolyn Dahe Jeon. Jessica Blythe Johnson. Carolyn Just. Tahir Syed Kafil. Jathin Kaker. Pratik Kalani. Harkiran Kaur Kalkat. Abdul Azim Kazmani. Keisha Kazmi. Rohan Kahar. Faiza Koker. Melina Karami. German Kisselman. Stephanie Nicole Kletke. Caitlin Julia Krempowicz. Jacqueline Laureen Kukat. Justin C. Wing Kwong. Aditi Lakhani. Samara Hannah Kronitz-Laskin. Cheryl Marie Lavelle. Justin John Q. Lee. Ryan Hung K. Lee. Catherine Jeanette Lefebvre. Philemon Ho Yan Lung. Karen Levy. David Lee. Selena Maria Pao Chi Lin. Matthew Olaf Lipinski. Deborah Hannah Lipsick. Edward Liu. Heather Teresa McKenzie. Tasha Rochelle Mayhew. Kristen Marie Malcolm. Shahrose Malik. Edward Thomas Robert Maloney. Joseph Margolick. Laura Christine Manning Marshall. Jason Martin. Joseph Gabriel Matthew. Matthew Thomas Mazurek. Gavin Joseph Mazzetti. Kristen Kathleen McCulloch. Melissa Margaret Meeking. Nicholas Tilak Mendes. Fahim Mirali. Erin Nicole Miller. Milad Modaber. Jessica Nyan. Anna Osadchuk. Richard Osborne. Ina Oiberman. Judith Podgett. Hunjay Park. Adam Perry. Thomas William Piggott. Vinod Ramlal. James Christopher Rassos. Charles Robichaud. Monique Renee Robichaud. Nicole Francis Robichaud. Anna Romanova. Amanda Rosenblum. Stephanie Rotolo. Alexandra Jane Rothstein. David Henry Raukema. Matthew Andrew Runnels. Christina Elizabeth Schabauer. Omar Salim. Samir Sharif. Priyanka Sharma. James Donghyun Shin. Leanne Shipday. Natika Sedana. Ariel Alana Singer. Tulika Singh. Holly Nancy Smith. Alana Marie Smirk. Janet Nayung Song. Vikas Srinivasan Sridhar. Seth Joshua Stern. Russell William Sterrett. Andrew James Surrett. Pao Yun Tang. Maria Cristina Tassone. Barbara Lee Tatham. Ryan Tong. Harleen Tour. Jasmine Ching-Ho Sang. Rucha Utgekar. Alice Bingshi Wang. Charlotte Warren. Kara Weems. Caitlin Patricia Whalen. Leslie Ann Witten. Arthur Wong. Lindsay Eileen Woodrow. Ki Wu. Juliana Wu. Ishin Shea. Alan Yan. Gil Yehudayev. Mary Claire Yelovich.
Oh, yeah.
Sabrina Uash. Neshmi Zaman. Lauren Jennifer Zarnett. Lei Di Zhao.
Madam Chancellor, may I present you with the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences, Midwifery. Elise Emma Bronwyn Banham. Zoe Brosma. Alyssa Byers Heinlein. Brianna Cavan. Chantel Dion. Rebecca A. Hagman. Diane Jarwowski. Aaron M. Laver. Danielle Helen Longfield. Emily Lyons. Caitlin Jane McLennan Penman. Anya Marion. Veronica Melnichuk. Chelsea Miklos. Michelle Moore. Brittany Orlando. Ashley Tiskowa Phillips. Jessica Richardson. Crystalline Shauna Rogers. Justine Ainsley Shilstra. Ainsley Kirsten Smith. Natalie Marina Talbot. Brianna Lauren Thompson. Allison Virtue. Annalie Winter.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences Honours. John Stanley Adamich. Arnav Agarwal. Waleed Shakil Ahmed. Ragad Sanad Abdul Hamid Al-Sakar. Sarah Nivathika Anthony. Sadaf Abab Tafti. Amira Balba. Chloe Teresa Bedard. Mariam Basada. Sukriti Bardwaj. Mark Joseph Breno. Aaron Budd. Ivana Sylvia Camposilvan. Adriana Capoletti. Alison Chan. Oscar Chan. Kai Chen. Jackie Cheng. Shen Lu Cheng. Everett Claridge. Clark Bandari Cole. Olivia Gwyneth Cook. Dylan Joseph Anthony DeMarco. Jennifer Duff. Natasha Erdley. Amanda Eason. Rebecca Eisen. Justina Elizabeth Ellery. Joshua Emery. Leila Iriuzlu. Kayang Fan. Mohammed Ferdoz. Nathan Luis Ricardo Flores Miranda. Annie Claire Foreman Mackey. Anna Foster. Shreyas Gandhi. Raghavan Raja Ganeshathasan. Nicole Gibbings. Judy Gong. Marta Halitska. Andrew Hanna. Ian Hanny. Bernard Ho. Bowie Sena Ho. Abrar Hussain. Nicole Zhezhrezhko. Gabriel Jayasingham. Arnett Kabanovsky. Isaba Kashem. Jess Karen Kaur. Yusuf Kello. Jason Kim. Marie Kim. Naima Kotedia. Keith Krishnan. Do Kyung Lee. Matthew Lee. Yvonne Lee. Ellen Liang. Stephen Liang. Anna Liu. Sherry Liu. Darren Liu. Lindy Luo. Mohak Malik. Mary Mankirios. Maggie Elizabeth McCann. Antoinette Mihailova. Jeremy Mobo. Fagol Mustafian. Stephanie Ann Napoleoni. Tiffany Tin Wing Ing. Colin Nang. Ilya Ostrovsky. Alexandra Michelle Oswald. Tanya Maria Pays. Christina Kyung-un Park. Jane Park. Nicholas Michael Parle. Megha Ashley Patel. Jennifer Louise Pearson. Nida Pirasha. Birpal Kaur Plaha. Evelyn Piper. Atif Ahmad Qureshi. Jennifer Christina Romano. Golnez Roshanka. John Suarez. Priya Sayal. Callum Scott. Fedi Sadaros. Shamini Selvakumar. Chelsea Suarez. Andrew Sauvé. Catherine Steckham. Rebecca Strapita. John Storick. Caitlin Tang. Victor Tat. Natalie Deborah Jean Taylor. Nicholas Peter Timmerman. Yulia Tizmenko. Mary Tong. Vance Tran. Marley Grace Valencia. Roland Wong. Tammy Wong. Vincent Wu. Georgie Shia. Meng Yang Jia. Lydia Zing. Chen Zhong. Tom Zhu. Faith Fung Su. Ruby Yang. Daniel Tai Ou. Maggie Jo Zhu. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduate of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences. Natalia Fong. Lauren Elise Styrian-Katz. Natalie Dawn Lambert. Johanna Sildam.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the Graduate Diploma in Health Services and Policy Research. Kalen Andrew Moat. Stephanie Rose Montesanti.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the Diploma in Child Life Studies. Brittany Arbuthnot. Heather Hardy. Lisa Hindmarsh. Emily Murkar. Jamie Kathleen Neefs. Lindsay Pickering. Tia Prolins. Brendan Prince. Rebecca Elizabeth Sletton.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce to you Miss Barbara Tatham, a graduate of the Doctor of Medicine program who will be delivering the valedictory address.
Good afternoon, Chancellor, President Dean, Dean and Vice President Dr. Kelton, distinguished faculty, friends, and family. And to my fellow graduates, Congratulations. My name is Barbara Tatham, and I'm honored to stand here before you today as your valedictorian. Today is a day to reflect, feel accomplished, and proudly share our achievements with those who have supported us through this journey. So before I go on, I want to take a moment just to thank all of the family and friends that are here today. I can't begin to express the gratitude in my own heart for my family, for their support over the many years. My parents have always strongly supported my ambitions and believed in the power of education, of learning, and of finding the fuel that lights the fire within you. This is something that I too value, and what I've decided I would like to elaborate on today. As we reflect, I'm sure many of us feel like education has always been a central part of our lives. And through our various journey, we partly feel like it was just yesterday that we were embarking on Welcome Week or O Week and meeting the faces around us today, and partly feel like we've known each other forever and have been in university for a decade. Oh, right, I actually have been. To tell you just a bit of my personal journey, I've been part of the Faculty of Health Sciences for some time, first completing my Bachelor of Health Sciences, then completing my Master's in Physiotherapy, now my medical doctorate, and I'm still beginning as a McMaster family resident come July. Yes, that makes for 11 years, 4 programs, 2 professional licenses, and 1 huge pile of debt. In spending any amount of time at McMaster, though, I'm sure we can all agree that this is an outstanding academic institution, having the highest caliber of educators, and is a university that provides a supportive and nurturing environment for success. And I have to add a special thank you today to Michael G. DeGroot, not only for his past contributions, but also for his one today. He has supported so many of our educations and will for so many future students. Having been a McMaster Health Sciences lifer, this faculty has had a big impact on the adult that I now am. And I mean this more than just becoming a self-directed, collaborative, evidence-based, critical thinking, interprofessional, inquiry-focused, small group, problem-based learner. Although honestly, these really are tools that will be a huge asset for us all moving forward, despite our love-hate relationship with them. The impact that MAC had on me was not so much during my time academically completing degrees, but rather the experiences that I have had and the people that I have encountered. What I have always found truly amazing is that no matter what initiative I wanted to start or get involved in, there was always someone there ready and willing to lend support. I think it's remarkable to be surrounded by so many positive influences. I can remember one of my first classes in health sciences, where Dell told us to take electives that interest us and not that just give us good marks. To get involved in things that are fun, exciting, and interesting, and not that just look good on our curriculum vitae. He would make big things happen for us as if it were no big deal and seal it with a simple, fair enough? Then there are people like Greg Spadoni, whose perfect posture doesn't come from being a physiotherapist, but from his former life as a cop. Just one more person that modeled for me that it's never too late to stop pursuing your dreams. And when I've been overwhelmed with studies, with that feeling that I've never really learned enough, you all know that feeling associated with PBL, it's the thought of the compassionate and driven preceptors reminding me of the professional that I hope to be, and the words of people like Dr. Kelton that keep me going. You are all the cream of the cream of the crop. And sitting in the audience today, graduating from one of the top programs in the country, you all are, and don't forget that. Really though, as many classes as we have sat in, tests that we have written, and scores that we have been given, the education that we have received during our time at McMaster goes far, far beyond the lecture hall and the library. It goes beyond the comforts of having objectives or the guidance of syllabi. It's about continuing to push ourselves, about discovering what motivates us, and being open to the potential within. Learning is not about books or tests or degrees. As Ms. Frizzle says, it's about taking chances, making mistakes, and getting messy. Our quest to learn does not end at graduation. So have the courage to always be a student of the world and to never stop searching for your passion. One final thought that I want to leave with you today is to remember that the idea of growth and finding our passions is not an end goal, but a journey. In remembering this, you will find happiness not just overall, but in moment to moment. You will find success in the ways that it matters most, and you will have an impact on the world in a meaningful way. So again, I challenge you. I challenge you to find meaning and to never stop learning. Good luck on the journey that lies ahead for each of you, and again, congratulations on everything that you've achieved so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. May I now again call upon Dr. Dean, who will present the President's Award of Excellence in Student Leadership.
Would Arnav Agarwal please come forward? Arnav Agarwal has earned academic honors, including the McMaster President's Award, the Marnie Peers Scholarship, and Bachelor of Health Sciences Honors Scholarship. He is also an accomplished undergraduate researcher with contributions to more than a dozen publications and accepted papers, along with 16 oral or poster presentations. Arnav's greatest legacy at McMaster, however, is the result of his volunteering. He served in several capacities with his residences and inter-residence council while holding executive positions with World Wildlife Fund McMaster, Dignitas Youth McMaster, the Bachelor of Health Sciences Student Society, Engineers Without Borders, McMaster Education Beyond Borders, the McMaster Ethics Club, McMaster Pencils for Kids, the Student Walk Home Attendant Team, and United Way McMaster. Beyond that, he was a MacServe participant and a mentor for McMaster International Student Services, as well as an active volunteer for the McMaster Student Success Office and the McMaster Students Union, where he chaired the Social Issues Division of the club's Executive Council. Arnav has also been extensively involved with the Canadian Red Cross, including founding and chairing the organization's McMaster chapter. Beyond the immediate McMaster community, however, Arnav has served as a volunteer in India over 4 summers and volunteered with Hamilton Hebrew Academy and Credit Valley Hospital. He served as an executive member of One Prosper International, and he co-founded the pediatric tour program at McMaster Children's Hospital. Arnav has received the Albert Lager Prize for Student Initiative, the Ontario Volunteer Youth Service Award, and the McMaster Honor M. And it's hard to imagine an award that could do that level of commitment justice. Congratulations, Arnav. Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Well done. Here's some photos.
May I introduce to you Dr. John Kelton, Dean and Vice President of Health Sciences. Dr. Kelton will now deliver the Health Sciences address.
Chancellor Labarge, President Dean, Dr. Hogg, honored guests, but most of all graduates, members of the Master Class 2014. Today is a special day for you. It's a special day for you, for your families, but it's also a special day for us on the stage. We're sharing your excitement. For me, it's an even more special day because of the wonderful announcement that Mr. de Groot made earlier. Go back about 9 hours ago. All of you were getting ready for this afternoon. I was too. I poured my Raisin Bran. I peeled a banana and looked at it with great interest. I was holding 93 milligrams of vitamin C, 67 milligrams of magnesium, 806 milliequivalents of potassium, all delivered in a most convenient 211 calorie yellow wrapped package. Perhaps most interestingly to me, this delicious, seedless, sterile plant carries 36,422 genes. In my lifetime, the double helix of DNA was discovered and the modern era of genetics was upon us. In all of your lives, the first gene was sequenced, the Haemophilus influenza, 1,725 genes. Other living things quickly followed, but the ultimate achievement, the Mount Everest of human enterprise, was to sequence the entire human genome. I was waiting with anticipation. It wasn't that long ago, less than 10 years. I remember thinking, a bacteria's got about 2,000 genes, a banana 36,000. Given our complexity, we must be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of genes. Then one day, the announcement, 22,522 genes, give or take. Now that's humbling. Everyone in this room is 40% less genetically complex than a banana. There is more to humans, or there must be, than our genes. When I began my work as a physician 40 years ago, the standard blood test was the SMA chemistry screen. 6 measurements: sodium, potassium, chloride, glucose, urea, CO2. Technology advanced, we could measure creatinine, the SMA-7, then the SMA-12, next the SMA-17. Today, in a day, in less than a few hours, a standard blood screen can easily measure 427 different indicators. A greater than 70-fold increase in information available about a person. If that's what's happening in 2014, how much more information will we have in 2020 or in 2034 when one of you is standing here as dean and another is behind me as the president? Throughout your professional lives, your ability to pixelate patients into data points will be breathtaking, sometimes intoxicating. The prevalence and accessibility of information will give people in all of health sciences a false sense of omniscience. It can hypnotize us into staring at the bright light of our powers of measurement, correlation, and identification. But no patient, no person can be atomized. No person is ones and zeros. In the wash and magic of technology, the technology you have acquired and will continue to acquire, it is easy to see people as collections of constituent elements like random, non-random base pairs. It becomes easy, too easy, to lose sight of the two constants in your interaction. The person in front of you, sometimes a patient, and the human who is the healthcare professional or the scientist. Humans have far fewer genes than bananas, yet we're infinitely more complex. The explanation is starting to be understood. Each gene can be expressed or not expressed, modified or altered. Some can be altered by us. The debate is over. It's both nature and nurture. And within this vast array of genetic diversity is what makes us humans, our unique character and traits. We are so much more than the sum of our genetic code parts. Now, back to today. You've earned this ceremony as triumphant graduates of one of the world's great universities, ready to enter a realm of human endeavor that desperately requires your science, your wisdom, your caring. I am sure, graduates, you have no doubt that you will give every day, every patient, every interaction your full attention, every ounce of your talent and training. If that's your belief, then I'm here to tell you today, this afternoon, unequivocally, you're wrong. I did on-call work for many years. For the first 5 years, I actually looked forward to that 3 a.m. call. The ringing of the phone was a shot of adrenaline. I remember the feeling of instant purpose. My brain moved into high alert. My senses seemed to be heightened. Being thrust into a position where literally lives could be at stake made everything starkly vivid. It was an experience that made me feel purposeful and alive. Sometime around the 5th or 6th or 7th year, 3 kids later, the excitement faded. For me, on-call work became work. The emergencies, paradoxically, became routine, just at a more inconvenient time of the day. And at that moment, and it will happen to all of you when your work routine meets turning points in people's lives, remember the banana. Remember the banana because at that moment, you must grasp at something that is not hardwired by your genes. You must draw on something that cannot be so easily decoded in a lab. You must draw on your character. There's so much more to humans than our genes. Unlike bananas, we have emotions. We've learned behaviors. Sure, it's been said that primates can display anger, happiness, some have claimed envy. But there's one trait that is unique to all humans and only humans: kindness. In my house is a sign my wife Kathleen, here today, as she is every convocation, she brought it from her folks' house. The sign says simply, "No act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted." It is that very act of kindness, the state, the existential state of being kind, that will define you so much more than your genetic inheritance. In the centuries before Twitter, hashtags, Facebook, before we tried to summarize our lives and identities in 140 characters or less, people tried to achieve self-definition through publishing in stone instead of pixels. People would define themselves and want to dictate the way they were remembered in epitaphs, the pithy life summaries on gravestones. One of my favorites is from Winston Churchill. On Churchill's gravestone it says, quotes, "I'm ready to meet my maker. Whether my maker is prepared for the ordeal of meeting me is another matter." Those 89 characters tell you much about the man. For everyone in this room, my wish would be for you to be remembered simply as caring. Caring means being observant, taking notice of people's feelings, reactions, situations. It means adjusting behaviors to fit others' needs, not yours. It means refusing to ever allow a person to become a routine collection of data. It means being kind. No act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted. I hope you remember about kindness, and in 5 or 6 years, when the excitement of today, when the excitement of being what you have become starts to fade. If you do, you will have honored your McMaster education in the most meaningful way possible. Thank you.
May I introduce you Mr. Mark Stewart, President of the McMaster Alumni Association. Mark will now deliver the Alumni Association address.
Chancellor Labarge, President Dean, McMaster faculty, fellow alumni, honored guests, and the McMaster class of 2014. In her remarks, Barbara referenced the importance of remembering that you're now and you've been on a lifelong journey for learning and meaning. Now similarly, you might not have realized it, but when you stepped on campus in your first year, you embarked upon a lifelong relationship with this institution. It's not just that your degree is going to be permanently recorded on your resume and on your LinkedIn profile, but it's the changes in your thoughts, your attitudes, your actions that McMaster had upon you that become a permanent part of who you are as a person. For me, my relationship with McMaster did change after I graduated. The professors that I engaged with, they became my friends and mentors. My classmates became people who I knew and who I could trust, and today I do business with. McMaster became a place where I could pay it forward, where I could engage with students and give back the same way that alumni gave back to me when I was a student. For this stage in your alumni lives, the McMaster Alumni Association has created a specific program for young alumni called MAC-10, which has 4 streams. MAC-10 Professional offers a year-round schedule of events and workshops, both in person and online, to support our alumni in their job search mode and alumni who are looking to progress their careers. We have offerings like a career coach and a job-finding boot camp. We also have MAC-10 Social. We hold regular get-togethers to keep our community collected, held here in Hamilton, Burlington, Toronto, and further afield. To keep our minds stimulated, we have MAC-10 Intellectual, where we hold informative, continuing education types of events. And finally, and just as important, MAC-10 Giving, which builds on the social awareness that's such an integral part of your student experience by offering interesting opportunities for community service and philanthropy, like a service learning trip we just hosted in Costa Rica. We host events and activities based around mentorship for entrepreneurs, grad school preparation, days of service, cooking events, canoe tours. We even do golf lessons. So that's just our MAC-10 alumni programming. So when you get a chance, visit alumni.mcmaster.ca, keep an eye on your mailbox for the McMaster Times, which is the alumni magazine, or connect with us through social media. Now, today McMaster marks its 525th convocation ceremony. From these 525 convocations, over 170,000 degrees have been granted for McMaster, and upon walking across this stage, our alumni have spread out across the world. Today, you can find them in over 130 countries. In the past couple of years, I've had the privilege of visiting our alumni in places like New York, Pittsburgh, Paris, Trinidad. And the common thread that I found amongst each and every grad from MAC is the great potential of this great university, as you've heard referenced, one that's regularly ranked amongst the top 100 in the world, or in other terms, the top 2/3 of 1% of universities in the world. Echoing the comments of the speakers earlier, our fellow alumni have told me that they see the most important thing that you can do to further the McMaster legacy is to make a positive impact on the world around you, because your contributions, your actions, reflect on everybody who's graduating today and everybody who's come before you. So contribute to your professions, to your communities, to your families. Our McMaster alumni across the world, they're presidents, CEOs, executives, doctors, academics. But just as important are those McMaster alumni who hold titles as mothers and fathers, volunteers, neighbors, leaders of all types. Leadership doesn't require a title or a position, but just a willingness to use the skills and knowledge that you've been gifted with to make a difference. So to the class of 2014, we celebrate your success, we toast your accomplishments, and we look forward to your continued achievements, whether today you're receiving your undergraduate or master's degree, or from today forward, we're going to be referring to you as doctor. Your fellow MAC grads are proud to welcome you to our alumni family. Thank you and congratulations.
May I invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver his President's Address.
This has been a wonderful day from so many points of view. A great opportunity to celebrate our graduates, their individual achievements, and also the ongoing achievements of this Faculty of Health Sciences and of the university at large. I wanted to say a few words about the bigger picture within which the university and all of us fit. In April 1967, at more or less the midpoint in the Vietnam War, Martin Luther King Jr. spoke at Riverside Church in New York City, outlining the need for what he called a radical revolution of values. We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers, profit motives and property rights are considered more important than people, he said, the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. Nearly a quarter of a century after that, in 1989, with the Vietnam War now over, yet countless new conflicts underway and global inequities undiminished, Bill McKibben, in his book The End of Nature, drew attention to the ecological impact of our continuing or even increasing orientation to things and unprincipled embrace of the machine. This assertion of human power he was later to identify paradoxically as evidence of our dehumanization, of our failure to make the shift towards what King characterized as a person-oriented society. And in his subsequent book, Enough, of 2003, McKibben offered advice for what he called staying human in an engineered age. Ours is an engineered age, not only because advancing technology seems to have been ceded responsibility for the shape of our future, but because in the developed world, we live our lives nearly 3 centuries into a revolutionary experiment that is perhaps the diametrical opposite of that for which Dr. King was arguing. The Industrial Revolution, economist Douglas Allen asserted recently, effected a fundamental shift in all our human institutions, away from those regulated by social values such as trust and custom, and towards a regime built around measurement and the removal of randomness in outcomes. Whatever considerable good such a regime brought with it, it brought also danger. As life, because of such planning, became more predictable, nature played a smaller role. The noisiness of the various inputs and the individual contributions of nature and people was steadily suppressed to facilitate an engineered outcome. McKibben asserts quite reasonably that if we are to retain or to regain our humanity, this process cannot continue indefinitely. And that is the simple message of the title of his book, Enough. And it restates remotely in time and within a different complex of anxieties the message of Martin Luther King. Similar cries are to be heard increasingly every day in the nearest and furthest reaches of our post-industrial and globalized kingdom, not merely in those parts where the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism have the upper hand, or where the causes and impact of climate change are a radical preoccupation. Indeed, even in the dominion of measurement, where the apparently self-evident value of an engineered economy and a market-driven social order is rarely questioned, we are seeing signs, if not of skepticism, then at least of misgivings. Pondering obsessively and with some puzzlement the disappointing outcomes of their hyper-engineered economies, governments across the developed world are beginning to ask whether the exclusion of randomness, of trust and custom has really been to the good. The Canadian Council of Chief Executives, which includes CEOs of 150 major Canadian corporations, released a survey of its members this past January, which showed that in evaluating prospective new hires today, corporations tend, and this is a quote from the report of the survey, to emphasize soft skills, also known, in my view rather puzzlingly, as non-cognitive skills, over hard skills. The soft skills most often listed by respondents to the survey included people skills, relationship building, communication skills, problem-solving skills, analytical abilities, and leadership skills. And if you consult something like the 2013 Campus Recruitment and Benchmark Survey, you will see it confirmed that while hard skills are still not exactly devalued by corporations, the emphasis today is on finding the appropriate mix of hard and soft skills, on rehumanizing the workplace by readmitting to it the noisiness of subjectivity, intuition, and custom. Proponents of this approach sometimes imply that the paradoxical outcome of such rehumanization will be a more precisely engineered result. But who, with a real and lived understanding of the disruptive potential of the so-called non-cognitive, would ever believe that? Undoubtedly, the result will be better in the sense of being more authentic and meaningful, but probably not in any way that is fully measurable. And as the pendulum swings, we will have to rediscover other means and modes of assessment. Now, it was recently reported in the Wall Street Journal that at business schools in the United States and Great Britain, this is a direct quote, the philosophy department is invading the MBA program. The global financial crisis has sparked efforts to train students to think beyond the bottom line, with courses on subjects such as the following: why capitalism and thinking about thinking. These institutions now see a need for their business students to read Plato, Marx, and Kant, to know why we're doing what we're doing, as one student puts it. At a much broader level, a commission in the United States has issued a report proclaiming that the humanities and social sciences are essential for a vibrant, competitive, and secure nation. And in Canada, chief executives draw attention repeatedly to the long-term benefits and virtues of a liberal education, particularly in the area of public policy and effective leadership. The rehumanizing of institutions, economic, educational, and governmental, is everywhere afoot outside of our borders. At the London School of Business, for example, students are offered a course in what's called Nobel thinking, which may not serve to make them Nobel Prize winners, but is intended to help them understand the sources and processes of transformative insight. I confess I'm somewhat troubled by the ghettoizing of this within a single course, as if one merely needs to have taken the course to become a Nobel League big picture thinker. It would be much more encouraging if the corrosive yet constructive influence of critical inquiry and reflection were suffused throughout the curriculum. But one is grateful for this nevertheless, as one is for courses on the most extraordinary subjects one finds at business schools around the world now: on humor at the Copenhagen Business School, conceptual foundations of strategic thought at Georgetown, a course in which students study Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. Now, there's one further indication of how widespread is this rehumanizing tendency. Last year saw the appearance of a report to the European Commission on improving the quality of teaching and learning in Europe's higher education institutions, a document remarkable for its powerfully humanistic underpinnings. It's not without irony that the process of modernization is now understood to mean not increasing subservience to an industrial model, but rather a return to values we associate with a liberal education. And interestingly, this coming November in the Netherlands, the global network of research-intensive universities will meet to frame and endorse a statement on the fundamental importance and relevance of the humanities to all areas of study, and by extension, to the project of building and advancing a global civitas that is democratic and dedicated to the greater good of all humanity and of the planet which supports us. As a member of that global network, McMaster University will be represented there, appropriately, as our commitment to humane and enlightened learning and research in all fields, from health to science to religion to labor, goes back over 125 years. Perhaps because of that tradition, at this university we've been remarkably successful in resisting full conscription to what McKibben calls the engineered age. Notwithstanding the path towards high achievement in science and technology, on which President Harry Thode set us beginning in the 1950s, the signal achievements of our subsequent history have arisen from a profoundly humanistic vision. And perhaps the most notable instance of that is the founding of the McMaster Medical School 48 years ago in 1966. A unique and unprecedented experiment at the time, and one probably still unsurpassed for its global influence. The medical school was the child of exactly the sort of speculative intelligence and interrogation of received wisdom that many would say defines the humanities. Focused less on bodies, on the pathology of bodies and traditional notions of medical education, than on evidence and on people, those who require care, those who would provide it, and on the best kind of interaction between the two. In recent years, and not only on our own campus, where, as all of you know, we now have a visual literacy program in the medical school, there is considerable evidence of a growing rapprochement between the arts and medicine, after a period of estrangement that coincided roughly with the post-war apotheosizing of science and technology. As the shortcomings of our engineered age become apparent, alternative categories of thought, action, and experience are regaining credibility. While at one time, in the middle of the last century, say, the desirability of separating the sciences from the humanities may have seemed an obviousness, to use a phrase made current by the thinker Louis Althusser. We know, in contrast to that, that in earlier times a different obviousness prevailed. Medieval biblical commentators identified St. Luke, for example, as the patron saint of medicine and art alike. And what I've been calling the process of rehumanization is discernible in professional fields far beyond medicine and business, the two I've mentioned so far. I began with Dr. King and his plea for a radical revolution of values. So the question which presents itself at this point is the following. Are the various initiatives I have described evidence that such a revolution is underway? Are these the signs that what the critic Judith Butler calls the metrics of forgetfulness, metrics of effacement, metrics which as a matter of obviousness relegate the arts and the non-cognitive to oblivion, are giving way to a regime of assessment that is responsive to our full humanity? Or are they rather evidence of an adjustment within our engineered world order that is likely merely to defer, if not forestall, the possibility of a genuine revolution of that sort? In the case of those business courses introduced, one on Nobel thinking, for example, I suspect the latter is true. Heartened though we may be by every indication that humanistic considerations are now being admitted to the public calculus of productivity and innovation, there is great danger in thinking that so long as students in business, medicine, or engineering are being required to take a humanities course, we have taken up and properly discharge the challenge issued to us by Dr. King so long ago. For unless our goals, as well as the means by which we measure their achievement, are changed, humanities courses taken are no more than instruments in service to a set of values from which humanistic considerations remain effaced. The project which Dr. King opened and which Bill McKibben's writing reminds us still lies ahead is this: to reconsider the values which our society today seems to accept as obvious and unchangeable, and to ask about the value of those values, whether they are comprehensive, what they facilitate, what they foreclose, what kind of world they establish, and what kind of world they destroy. It is not enough to account for our project as human beings in terms of a narrow techne or practical skill. This is going to seem an odd thing for me to say, but it is not a fulfillment and vindication of our humanity if we have merely found a cure for cancer, or merely built a structure more than 1 kilometer tall, or amassed twice the fortune of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, or solved the mystery of dark matter and accounted fully for the origin of the universe. Those are, or would be rather, brilliant achievements in themselves, but they represent a use of, rather than a complete negotiation with, our humanity. And I cannot imagine why, as a species, we would be willing to settle for that. After you've found that cure for cancer, there's a discussion you have to be part of about how we want to organize our world, how we need to partner with and understand each other, and our place in the physical universe. The conduct of that discussion, academically, is the substance of the humanities. And unless you're in some way part of it, the great answers to your questions will forever elude you. So as you leave this hall today, remember Bill McKibben's one word thrown against our perilously dehumanized age: enough. And in the pause which follows, whether you leave here as a doctor, a midwife, it doesn't matter. Ponder what role you would like to play, not only within the technical confines and the discourse of your chosen field, but in the full and glorious project of our shared humanity. My very best wishes go with you all.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. First of all, congratulations to the class of 2014. As a fellow McMaster alumni, I'm looking forward to seeing where you all go from here. Dr. Hogg, congratulations on your accomplishments. And as Mr. Stewart eloquently said, you are now all graduates and members of this wonderful group of alumni. And I'll just remind you that the one thing this community does of the 170,000 alumni McMaster graduates, it provides you with a wonderful set of shoulders, either to lean on when you need them or to stand on when you want to move forward and see farther. What struck me in listening to Dr. Kelton, President Dean, and Dr. Hogg was the fact that although this is the Faculty of Health Sciences, the message was not about science. It was about the changing world that you're going to face and the need in that time to keep what I call very human characteristics, whether it be patience, passion, discipline, kindness, caring. Graduates, take those wise words with you as you go. Now, before I ask you all to sing the national anthem with you, I do have a couple of housekeeping messages that I want to pass on. Any flowers that have been delivered for graduates will be available at the coat check in the main lobby. I would ask you to please remain standing at your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. Now, please join me in the singing of our national anthem. And after the national anthem, the convocation stands adjourned.